The first race we're going to cover is the big race on Friday. It is the Coronation Cup, and at the top of the market is Gayat at 6-4. The Globetrotting Gayat hasn't run in the UK since 2017. Last year's winner's Defoe is 100-30. Stradivarius stepping back in trip is 7-2 best price. Anthony Van Dyke 15-2, 12-1 bar. All these prices that I read out in this video and in this podcast are the best prices on the Oddschecker grid, so across all the bookies that we work with. Andy, looking at this one now, interesting favourite by all accounts. Are you looking at Gayat as being a vulnerable favourite? Can you see why he's as short as 6-4?
On pure figures and numbers and visual impression of his performances when he is on song, there's no doubt that he's probably one of the best horses over this trip in the world. I mean, his performance when he won over in Maidan, when we last saw him, it was absolutely devastating. Obviously, I keep speed figures and also keep time figures over in Maidan, and he was by far and away the quickest horse I got over there in the desert throughout the entire winter season. So he's obviously a fair tone. I mean, he didn't beat no mugs either. I mean, he absolutely battered a good field. He looked imperious all the way through. I think arguably that's probably his best trip, 1.25 miles, because he's got a hell of a lot of speed. He does stay a mile and a half. He won a Group 1 over in Baden-Baden towards the back end of last season. So clearly, when he's on song in a small field, when he can dominate them like he's likely to do at Newmarket, he's a hell of a horse. But, you know, sometimes he has bombed out. He's a bit of an oxo horse. He'll either do it and do it brilliantly, or he gets taken out of his comfort zone, if either of these can possibly do that. And he is a little bit vulnerable. And I think we've got a stellar lineup. Perhaps, one of them might be able to do it. The likes of Stradivarius, obviously Defoe, to a smaller degree, Anthony Van Dyke, who's rather lost his way after his exploits in mid-summer last season. So it's a fascinating affair. It's a race I probably won't have to bet in because I just don't feel I've got an angle in. You're taking a risk with Stradivarius, dropping back in trip. Yes, he should be fine over it. And he's, of course, won 2 Yorkshire Cups, mile 6. So you're splitting hairs with him a little bit. I think Defoe's got the most likely profile, perhaps, to turn him over, because we are in the realms of uncertainty with Stradivarius, in the sense that he's a course and distance winner. He comes to hand quite early. And, of course, he's won this race before, albeit at Epsom. So I think probably if you gave me a free bet, let's say, a free tenner, it'd probably go on Defoe. But it's a race I'll probably just sit back and watch and enjoy.
What did you make of Gayat's performance in the Arc last year? Obviously disappointed coming into it with some hopes and couldn't really get close to them.
Just ground, wasn't it? I mean, A lot of horses didn't handle the ground. I mean, I thought Enable, she probably floundered on it late on. And obviously Walt Geist was a worthy winner on the day. But it was brutal ground over there in France, and he's not that kind of horse. He's just a free, easy-going, easy-moving horse that wants a quick surface so he can bounce off the ground, use his stride, and that basically that ground sucked the guts out of him, really. So I wouldn't really look at that and think, well, there's a hole in him, just because of that run. I think that there is a hole in him if it was soft ground, but it's not going to be that. It's going to be on the fast side, which is right up his street. So Bavonia goes there in A1 tip-top condition, which his run 106 days ago suggested he will be. Then he's going to take some beating because he'll be off in front and just keep pounding out the fractions.
So Andy doesn't have necessarily an angle in, despite telling us about some of the primaries in the race. Mike, how have you worked out a way to eke out some value here?
I think it's a bit of a strange race. I mean, what I said about horses having prep runs is, I think, vitally important here, because I think it's been very well publicised that Stradivarius is sort of having a bit of a spin ahead of the Ascot Gold Cup. I don't really mean having a spin. He's obviously trying, but the main focus for him is the Ascot Gold Cup. This is really the only race he can run in a prep, unless they went to Newcastle for a very stiff 2 miles, which I don't think is an ideal prep for any horse. I think it's quite tough. I think a lot of it revolves around Gaillac. I mean, I'm surprised Aidan O'Brien's not running another horse in here, because I think the main way and the quickest way to get Gaillac beaten is just to send something up on his girth about 2 furlongs after they start, and I think he'll take off. But if I was Aidan O'Brien, I'd be sending Broome up and just making his life a nightmare. I think he's the type of horse that wins or goes pop. His record shows that. And as such, I think he's very dodgy at about 6-4. He'd be kind of horse I'd want. If they were 7 furlongs out and nothing had touched him so far, I'd probably be wanting to back him in running. But I think it's going to be very tactical. It is going to be a funny race. If they do send Broome up, it has the massive potential to be a pace burn up that could go very hard, and it could play into the hands of Anthony Van Dijk in particular, and also Defoe. I think if I was going to have a bet, it would be to lay Stradivarius and Gaillard. Both of them lay them a place, because they'll both be heavily odds on to hit the frame. And I mean, clutching a little bit. I'm surprised Stradivarius is so short. He'll definitely be looking towards Ascot. But it's the kind of race where you're probably best just to keep your fingers in your pockets and watch it, really. But I think it has the chance to play into a big surprise here. Even something like Desert Encounter, if he was to sit last, could come through and pick them up.
So just the 7 runners at the moment. Paddy Power do go 3 places as it stands. Stradivarius, as you say, short is 11-4. So one to maybe swerve, according to Mike. Anthony Van Dijk, who you gave a positive mention to there, is 11-2 with Paddy's 3 places, 15-2 elsewhere. And Desert Encounter, 33-1, best price around, 25-1 with the 3 places with Paddy's. I mean, just another, obviously this race taking place at Newmarket this year. Does that affect, when you're looking at this, people will see that Defoe won the race last year, and maybe should be alerted to the fact that it's happening at Newmarket. Does that come into your thinking at all? Are there any ground concerns as well, given the unseasonably warm weather that we've seen over the last few weeks?
My perspective, no. When I look at Defoe, I think, well, has he got any track form? And he quite clearly loves the Raleigh Mile. He's won here before, and he was second to Communicate last season as well over the track. So that wouldn't concern me. The only concern I have is if you're going into a race back in any horse whose yard is yet to fire, and it's a very small sample. But Roger Varian's, I think he's had 1, maybe 2 runners, and one of them's won. So obviously we'll get another couple of days worth of action to work out if the flow continues. But I mean, he's a top class horse, Defoe, and the stronger they go, the better he'll be. I mean, I didn't think they went overly quick over in the desert when he finished second to Loxley, and he was marked up as a really unlucky loser. He pretty much hit your clock by Defoe. He's a good globe-trotting horse that's been there, seen it, and done it. He won't be fazed by anything. So I think as Mike's always alluded to, Stradivarius, you're taking a punt with him. He's the one most likely to bustle up at Gaillard if he doesn't turn up on his A game.